Welcome, welcome. Here we are. Number 5 podcast, Larry and Al Search for Truth. So, our quote to begin today is: We find the truth only when we're searching for it. Sometimes the truth may be right in front of your eyes, but we may not see it because that's not what we're seeking for. The one who is out to seek has already found it. And that's kind of what we're doing here. We're just talking and we're trying to use the search for truth as a basis for some of our experiences, some of our undertakings. And like I was saying in the podcast before about the powers to be, the administration, if you will, our leaders in general, they lead, but do they really know the truth? Do they really want to know the truth? Does the truth matter? I guess. Does the truth really matter? I guess that's my question to you.
Well, to me, I think the thing that we were talking about, the example of a lot of teachers who were in the classroom for a little bit of time, became administrators, okay? And think about this. They wanted to be administrators and they wanted to jump from that one to maybe public education or wherever, but they were seeking power and connections, not program success. You got what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I remember a couple of guys that were they were long-term subs and then become teachers. And the next thing you know, within the next cycle, they were administrators and they would come through and look at what we were doing and they would look at it and say, oh, how do you do this? How do you do that? Oh, I can't, you can't do. And I said, well, this is how we do it. And you have to have the commitment. Okay. You got to have the commitment to get these things done. But they didn't have the history. You got what I'm saying? Or the foundation. All they saw was that I'm an administrator now and I can tell people what to do.
I think that's a key point you just brought up that we haven't really explored is the history, people's history. If you have a history, you can rely on that history to kind of help guide you through the journey of life, if you will, and how the truth emerges, how it comes to you, and how sometimes it changes. And
Oh yeah,
your
because
perspective.
you went to the high school in Southern California, right?
Right,
And I went to high school in Northern California back in the old days.
right.
Okay, because I graduated in '62. When did you graduate in high school?
73.
Okay, so I was 11 years. I was 11 years ahead of you in
Right.
graduating from high school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in '73, I was in the workforce because I
Right.
graduated from Cal Poly in '71. You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but the thing that I remember was is what we were talking about. I think the last one, how the teachers treated me and said, you're wasting your ability by not being committed to going to school and doing whatever you need to do. Because I was a three sport. I was football, basketball, and baseball. And if it wasn't for the athletics, I had to stay eligible. I wouldn't have been in school. Okay.
Really, really.
Okay. I was, at that time, I started, started high school in the 10th grade, 11th, 12th. And think about this. I lettered in 3 years, I lettered 7 times and made All City 4 times. What was it? Yeah, I made All City 4 times in 3 years. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I had at the athletic skills but not the academic skills. You got what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so when it dawned on me as a 12th grader that wow, I need to go to class. I need to put the work in, and then I started to realize that education was smart. I needed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on to community college and, made all conference baseball, played football, then went down to Tuskegee. And then just a long story short, I was high on the draft list. And that's when I've gone to college 2 years, and that's when I enlisted in the Marine Corps.
Right.
Okay. But at least when I got out of the Marine Corps, I had a starting point, community college.
Yeah.
But going back to what we're talking about in terms of experiences, a lot of people who deal with minority students don't see them as viable students because they want to push them up to the regular high school student stage instead of working with them down in the bottom and bringing them up slowly. Okay, we didn't. The one thing we didn't talk about: how many students did we send back to the district? You got what I'm saying? Back to the regular high school.
Right.
We sent a whole bunch of kids back after they went with us and they got their grades up and everything. And we went to the meetings and if they weren't expelled, they were able to go back to the districts and be on track to either graduate or to play football or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, we supply the service for everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think the ability for me being a counselor as well as a teacher, that was one of the caveat that it helped us out, as well as you being the teacher you were, that helped us out dealing with our students.
Yeah, I have my experience is somewhat other than the military. I did not join the military, but mine coming out of high school, I was an average student, but I wanted to play football. So, I went to a community college, played football, but then I had to drop out to help my mom pay for her bills. I mean, her and my dad split up and she needed some help. I dropped out, but then I went back to school. And I remember I was working delivering electrical supply parts to electricians on job sites. And many times I was approached by some of the supervisors about maybe I should come on board with them. They could teach me the trade. And I said, no, I'm going back to school. I want to go back. And so I went back to school, and then I went on and got my degrees and then my teaching credential. And like I said, similar experience where, I just kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be I wanted to get my education. I wanted to get my formal education. Yes. And so that's what in my heart is where I'm at. And that's why I think passing that on to students, they can see the passion for learning, and they benefited from that. Talking about my history and talking about your history where you
one of the major reasons why I wanted to get an education is because my father, God rest his soul, after he came back from the Olympics, he was going to school, and he was working in San Diego, and but he never finished up his degree, okay, and he got caught in the cycle where the guys were coming back from the Korean War, because he was in World War. He got drafted in World War II, and he also got called up again to go to Korean War. Okay, and so when he got out, he was working for a park and recreations, but he didn't have his degree. So what happens when those guys came back from Korea and stuff like that, people had the degrees. He got bumped. You see what I'm talking about?
Right.
And he never ever went back because his life kind of spiraled. You know, he was you have a job, and then all of a sudden you're not doing that job anymore. So he's the one that I use as a model. I did everything opposite to what he did. Okay, I made sure that when I graduated, I think I was the first one on his side of I think on his side of the family, I was the first one to graduate from high school. I mean, not in high school, but from college.
Right.
And that's one of the main reasons why I went and got all the credentials and everything that I needed to have, because I said to myself, it's better for me to have it than to go get it. You got what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever a job came up with this specs, I already had the specs. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Right.
have to go get the specs.
Yeah.
Okay, but those are the things that motivated me to seek a college degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I know and he was very proud of me doing those things, even though I could never get him to go back to school to get his degree. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But
And
he,
one
but
of the
he,
things that I learned in my life, at the age that I'm at 79 years old, that you can't tell grown folks what to do.
right.
Okay? You can show by example, but you can't say, this is what you need to do.
Right.
Okay? Because everybody functions in their own way about information. Okay? And this is why I try to stay in my lane and don't cause no pain.
But it's difficult to do, don't you think? Sometimes when really you have the experience and the know all to know what the right thing, but you have to allow these people to find their own way, and that's
Well,
a
you
truth.
have to
And it's things like this.
by example, you have to be able to structure examples for them to go through so that they can see themselves. Okay, every time somebody, it's just like my children. Uh, 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 I remember when my daughter, when my oldest daughter graduated from college, and I tried to hook her up at one of the community colleges, and I said to her, "There's a job opening, but don't apply for it because somebody else is going to get that job. The job is already promised to somebody else. You got what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So don't try to go interview for the job." She did it anyway. You got what I'm saying?
Right.
And she was upset because she didn't get the job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but she didn't. She had never been in the system. How she didn't know how things worked in the system. We know that every time when they interviewed for put the flyer out for a job, we already knew that so and so was going to get the job. They just needed enough people to interview so they could make it valid. You remember?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but what it did for her, she decided that she was going to go and go into counseling, and she ended up getting a master's in counseling, and that's what her career has been. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Right. Right.
So, that's an example of you can't tell grown folks what to do. Okay,
Right.
and
Right.
sometimes they have to bite the bullet. They have to see it for themselves. You can't push them aside and say, "Oh, go this way." But sometimes and like my mother used to say to me, "A bought lesson is the best lesson in life." And so that means that sometimes when people go out and they buy something and it doesn't work, then they realize they should have bought something else. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. But no, it's I think the important thing about what we did, and I think the thing that made us a very competent people in education was that we cared about the student, and we went through the right process to deal with the student. We didn't cut corners. We didn't make promises that we couldn't keep. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times people say, well, if you know, and I think the key thing was that the method of discipline that we had was one that the students could be involved in without going out of bounds. We didn't write people up every day. We didn't, you know, we didn't call their probation officers and all that kind of stuff all the
Mm-hmm.
time. If we had an issue, we dealt with the issue. Okay, and we worked it out. Okay, instead of saying, "Oh, you're in trouble, so I'm going to have somebody else deal with you. I'm going to refer you." No, we dealt with it in the environment that we were in, and so that the kid can remain in the environment going forward. Okay, we didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You
Right.
understand?
We weren't to kick them out. We wanted, like you say, there was discipline sometimes needed, but our goal was not to just boot them out and say, "Hey,
No,
have a nice life." You know, we wanted them to learn from it and be able to stay in the program and still continue to do what they needed to
it's
do.
just like the kids that would come in late and not do any work. And so we do the report cards, and they would end up with partial credits. And they
Right.
would always say, "Well, why did we get part? Why did I get partial credit? I came to school every day."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Yeah, you came to school every day, but you came 45, 50 minutes late, and you didn't complete any assignments.
Mm-hmm.
You sat there and you talked. Am I
Right.
right or wrong?
Right.
Okay."
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to rectify the situation, I give you here's a pathway to earn those other credits as well as the credits that you need to be going through on this grading period.
You know, with our students, a lot of times, you know, we were, at least I was trying to sometimes present it like, you know, if you had a job and this was your job, you need to be there on time. You need to
Right,
follow directions. You need to complete tasks, and then you get paid. Well, in this case, your payment will be the school credits, the grades, and eventually, you know, you get your high school diploma. Where in the regular ed, it's more about preparing them to get whatever they need for on a paper so they can go to the next level, go to college or whatever they need to
right,
do. So I don't know if regular ed really addresses it that way, but we did it where what is it, how is it unique to you? And how does it benefit you directly? Just coming on time, you know, and like you said, and not just talking, but doing the work, turning the assignments in, following the protocol of what we expect from you. And that's where the majority of them were able to do that, and then they were able to move on and lead successful lives.
right. But you see, in regular ed, what's the model of regular ed? Everybody's going towards college. That's their function. That's what everybody's trying to do.
Right.
But what happens to the guy or the girl that doesn't want to go to college?
Right.
What happens to them?
Right.
And so that's when what do? They fall by the wayside.
Well, again, what we would try and do is find a way to benefit them, to try to show them what they could do. Whether, like I said, we would bring in ROP, where they could go and learn, get
Yeah,
vocational education, and see if this is what they want to go into nursing. Do they want to go into hospitality? Do they want to go
right.
into food services? You know, do they want to do welding? Whatever it is, auto mechanics, whatever it is, these are the things that we gave them the opportunity to do, and nobody
And
was telling them, no, you can't do that.
you know, and we had a lot of kids that were successful completing ROP classes and getting jobs.
Right.
Okay, and so when the other students saw that, what did they say? Well, I want to go to ROP too. And I say, well, if you're going to go to RLP, you're going to have to make a commitment to stay there for the semester.
Right.
Okay, as well as come to school here. Come to school in the morning, go to RLP in the afternoon.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so
Right.
that those are the kind of things because and like I said, in regular ed, they got the have athletic programs, they got the clubs and things like that. But those kids are motivated. You got what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're dealing with kids who are not motivated about school.
Or
You
they
know?
haven't. It hasn't been role modeled for them. It hasn't been emphasized as important.
Well,
Or
well, put it like this. Okay, think about this, Larry. There was nobody there that paid attention to them.
mm,
Okay, nobody said to them, "Okay, let's find an alternative situation for you here." Instead of sending them out from there to us. You got what I'm saying?
yeah. Right. Right.
So, but I think when young teachers and I think uh, that there has to be a when they go through their on-site programs, or they need to spend, not only spend time at the elementary or the junior high school, but still the same amount of time at the alternative ed place. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So they get a chance to see what they do in alternative ed.
Well, when I was working on my master's degree in education and counseling, I was the only one in the cohort that was from the alternative ed. Everybody else was from regular ed. So whenever I had to do presentations
Yeah,
and projects, I used that time to kind of share about the special kinds of students that we worked with, and I would tell these up and coming administrators, these are the kinds of kids that you're going to get in your office. These are the kinds of kids that are going to come to you. And here's where they're coming from. This is what's going on. These are some of their experiences, their life, and what they've had to deal with. And it was really enlightening for them. And I had many times, that people come up to me and say they appreciated my
yeah.
perspective because I was
Well,
the only one sharing that alternative ed piece.
where'd you get your master's at?
Azusa Pacific.
I got mine at Cal State Fullerton. I got mine
Right.
from Fullerton.
Yeah.
And I remember I was taking a finance class, and I was the only one in there of an alternative ed.
Right. It's very
Yeah,
rare.
yeah, very rare. And but I learned what she told me is utilize your environment, okay? And then that's what I did.
Right.
But not too many, like you said, not too many people understand what goes on in alternative ed.
Right. And what kinds of students come through the
What
door,
kind of students?
you know? And I think that again, our background being that you had gone through corrections, YA, juvenile hall, juvenile, and
Yeah.
me through the
And I went
probation
through
department.
Albert Sitting Home.
Right, right, yeah. I mean, I had a lot of experience leading up to actually entering the classroom already. I
You're
already
right.
knew a lot about that kind of student, so it
And-
helped me.
and-
But I think when I really started learning was when we did go to Operation Success, and
Dave, I got to call you back. Yeah.
so that's when we started going to their homes, and when we started really sitting down with them and talking to them and seeing what kinds of experiences they were going through. It helped me even open me up more to the truth. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, I had a certain truth, and that's what it was. But it helped me expand it by seeing there's more to it than what initially I thought was the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And let me explain to you. One of my experiences was as while I was at Joplin, I was looking for the the pro the professional organization, juvenile court schools, and I became president of juvenile court schools
All right.
statewide, and I was the only member from Orange County.
Right.
And we put on a conference, and it was successful. But one of the things that I was watching the politics,
Hmm.
and I didn't after I did that stint as president, I just said no, I don't want to be involved in the politics, L.A., San Diego, and all that kind of stuff. And so I went on about my business. I went underground, and I went on about my business because I didn't want to. It was kind of funny. All the people from LA and mostly all the black folks from LA nominated me and put me in there and thought I was going to be a puppet,
Hmm.
and I wasn't. And then one lady shouted. I mean, she laughed at she yelled at me, talking about you didn't do like you're supposed to do. And I said, you know what? That's not who I am.
Hmm.
Okay, and
Hmm.
that's not who I was looking for a professional organization so
Hmm.
I can have professional growth,
Right.
not because I'm looking for power. You got what I'm saying?
Well, there we go. We go back to power,
Yes.
power and truth,
And I
truth
learned
and power. You
and I
know.
learned about a whole lot of different programs. Like there was a program up in the Bay Area that I kind of patterned what we were doing, and the program was called the Foundry, and it was the
Yeah,
same.
I'm familiar with that.
Okay, and it was the same kind of things that we were doing that I found out would be the kind of things that we could do down here. And,
Hmm.
and, and one of the things that I realized that a lot of people from Orange County never ever went to learn professional growth. They didn't go. They didn't go to conferences, and they didn't go anywhere where they can learn the craft. And then I became a member of a statewide situation, uh, 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 and distributing information from the state to the county. You got what I'm saying?
Right.
So I got really involved, and I got a chance to see the political structure of what it is that we were doing. Okay, but I got a chance to see the juvenile court school environment, and I made connections to a lot of people statewide, and they gave me a lot of information, and I was able to glean tried and true situations. If I had a question, I asked them. I said, "Well, how did you deal with this in your?" And they gave me the information how they dealt with it, and then that's how I gained a lot of information from helping us put stuff together. But
Right.
but the thing about it is, there are very few people in our environment that did any professional growth. Only time they would go is if they were forced to go, nothing on their own.
Hmm.
And I think that's the thing that helped me greatly was that I had that information aside from the academic classroom stuff.
Hmm.
You see?
Yeah. Well, I think we're about done again, and I just want to kind of close with that. You know, we were talking about seeking the truth or search for truth. So the quote, the end of the quote is that the one who's out to seek has already found it. And I guess that's what we're working on is trying to seek it, seek out the truth, search for the truth, and maybe some truth comes out. I don't know, but maybe
What
we'll
are
have
we
to
going
wait
to
and
talk
see.
about? What do you think about talking about on this podcast number 6? What do you think? Some of the things we want to talk about then?
Well, I think, you know, as a follow up to what you were saying about how there wasn't a lot of individuals within Orange County that were out to, you know, get professional growth. Maybe we need to find out, explore why that is. Why weren't people wanting to learn from others, or maybe even share what they knew to make it a better environment for all the students? It's really to help the students, and so maybe that's what we should look at.
Okay, we'll explore it next time. Okay.
It sounds good to me, man. Those of you that are out there listening, subscribe to our page so that you can get the notifications of when we're going to record again.